If you figure out what it is that's making you get into the addiction, it's easier to get out of the addiction.
What if I told you one of rock's most infamous bad boys actually died for several minutes?
But you're going to feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
So
got brought back to life. And his first reaction wasn't gratitude, it was pure rage because someone ruined his high.
there's no enjoyment in addiction.
Yeah.
No life-changing revelation, no emotional awakening, just chaos, addiction, and a man spiraling so far out of control that even death wasn't enough to stop him. This is the shocking true story of how Nikki Sixx went from rock superstardom to one of the darkest nights in music history. So here's the setup. Nikki Sixx is 29 years old, the bass player for Mötley Crüe, and it's December 1987. By this point, he's not just living the rock star lifestyle. He's pushing himself like some reckless experiment, seeing how far the human body can go before it completely crashes.
Even though the physical withdrawal of it is horrible and painful.
He's living in a mansion in Van Nuys, California, but calling it a mansion almost feels generous because he turned the place into something out of a nightmare. And not in some stylish Gothic way either. He personally painted the windows black, covered them in tinfoil, and transformed a multi-million-dollar property into what looked like a dark bunker. He spends hours sitting in his closet, not because he's picking out clothes, but because he's deep in a spiral, surrounded by heroin and gripping a shotgun, convinced a SWAT team is about to storm the house. Except there is no SWAT team. That's the terrifying part. It's drug-induced paranoia. Nikki is hallucinating movement in the trees, hearing voices through vents, seeing threats that aren't there. On this particular Tuesday, he's sitting there with weapons nearby, staring at the doorknob like it's about to move at any second. He's been awake for days, running on fear, chemicals, and total exhaustion. And physically, he's in rough shape. His skin has turned yellow, not from a tan, but from serious health decline. His hair is falling out in chunks because his body is barely getting what it needs. He's dangerously underweight, surrounded by empty Jack Daniels bottles and used needles, and somehow still convincing himself this situation is sustainable. That's how far gone things had become. Eventually, even the closet gets boring, so Nikki decides he wants out. He calls some friends, including Slash from Guns N' Roses and Robin Crosby from Rat. And let's just say these were not exactly guys known for balanced lifestyles and green smoothies. The plan? Go out and keep the chaos going at the Franklin Plaza Hotel. Now, this was not some polished luxury escape where staff politely fluff your pillows and ask about your evening. Franklin Plaza had a reputation, and not the glamorous kind. It was the sort of place tied to wild stories, messy nights, and the kind of behavior that made respectable hotels nervous. Exactly the kind of setting where a night already heading off the rails could get even worse. Nikki gets to the hotel, and the scene is already bad news. The room is cramped, stale, and filled with that harsh chemical smell of smoke and burnt plastic. There's a dealer there named Sally. Not a medical professional, not some expert, just a guy moving powders in folded scraps and making deals in a hotel room. Nikki isn't looking for something mild either. He wants the stronger product, the stuff with a serious reputation. This wasn't what he'd been used to before. This version was known for being far more potent, the kind that could overwhelm someone fast if handled carelessly. But warnings meant nothing to Nikki at this stage. If anything, risk seemed to make the choice more appealing. So he grabs an old needle, starts preparing the dose, and puts together a dangerously large amount without measuring anything at all. No checking, no caution, no second thoughts. Just powder into the spoon, water added, heated up, and ready to go. Then comes the next problem, finding a usable vein. Years of heavy use had made that harder and harder, turning even that into a struggle. He has to search for a spot that will work, and after enough effort, he finds one. Then comes the injection. Usually this would be the moment where the effects hit in a familiar way. But not this time. This time it hits like a wrecking ball. Too fast, too hard, completely overwhelming his system. His breathing shuts down, his body can't keep up, and within moments, he collapses. Instead of drifting off, he turns blue, lips darkening, eyes rolling back, body going still on the bed. The people around him are in no condition to respond quickly either. Nobody in that room is prepared for a medical emergency. The delay alone makes the whole situation even more dangerous. Eventually, someone realizes the famous rock star in the corner hasn't moved in far too long. Panic explodes across the room. Sally starts losing it, realizing the nightmare unfolding in front of him. In his mind, this isn't just a crisis, it's a catastrophe tied directly to his doorstep. And then comes the chaotic attempt to fix it. No CPR, no emergency skills, no clear thinking. Instead, in a move that sounds completely unreal, Sally grabs a wooden board and starts hitting Nikki, somehow believing pain might shock him awake. It's desperate, reckless, and exactly as ineffective as you'd expect. A medical emergency was unfolding, and the people in the room had no idea how to handle it. Nikki is completely unresponsive, no pulse, no breathing. By every visible sign, this is a full medical emergency. At some point, someone in the room finally makes the call to 911. Meanwhile, Sally hears the sirens getting closer and immediately decides he wants no part of what's coming next. Instead of sticking around, he bolts in total panic, reportedly jumping out the window and tearing down the street yelling, "I took Nikki out, that's it, Nikki Sixx is gone." Then the paramedics arrive. They find Nikki in critical condition, cold to the touch, with precious time already lost. In situations like this, every second matters, and the odds get worse fast. But this Crüe doesn't waste time. One of the paramedics recognizes him right away, not just as a patient, but as someone whose music he actually knew well. According to the story, the paramedic looks at his partner and says, "No one is gonna die in my ambulance." That changes the whole energy instantly. Nikki is rushed onto a gurney, moved downstairs at full speed, and loaded into the ambulance as the team begins aggressive emergency treatment. This is where the situation gets intense. The medic prepares emergency medication, not recreational drugs this time, but a life-saving intervention meant to restart a failing body. The equipment looks massive, the pressure is sky high, and the crew is moving fast because there is no room for hesitation. The first attempt doesn't bring the response they need. No dramatic instant recovery, no miracle in 1 second. So they go again, pushing forward with another intervention. Then suddenly it works. His heart kicks back into action, his body responds, and after moments that must have felt endless, Nikki gasps for air and regains consciousness. Now, most people would imagine this becoming some emotional turning point. A second chance, a grateful thank you, maybe tears, maybe silence, maybe total shock. But according to the account, that is not what happened at all. Instead, Nikki wakes up furious, disoriented, combative, and lashing out at the very people trying to keep him alive. He reportedly starts shouting, "You ruined my high, you ruined my high." The emergency crew now has a revived patient who is also a serious danger to himself and everyone around him. So they restrain him for safety and keep moving. The ambulance heads straight to Cedars Sinai Medical Center, where the emergency room team takes over immediately. Machines, monitors, urgent evaluations. The whole scene shifts from hotel room chaos to full hospital intervention in seconds. But even after being brought back, the crisis is far from over. At the hospital, the emergency team moves fast. Tubes for oxygen, IV lines, monitors tracking every vital sign, the full emergency response. Police also arrive, asking the obvious questions. Where did the substances come from? Who supplied them? What happened in that hotel room? Meanwhile, Nikki is lying there, slowly becoming more aware, and with that awareness comes pain. Not just physical pain from severe withdrawal and the strain his body has been through, but emotional turmoil crashing in at the same time. And instead of deciding to stay put and cooperate, he becomes focused on one thing, getting out of there as fast as possible. So he waits. The moment a nurse steps away, he makes his move. He pulls out the tubes, yanks out the IV lines, and creates a chaotic scene in the process. Blood, alarms, confusion, total disorder. But in that state, none of that matters to him. He's determined to leave no matter the consequences. Then comes one of the most surreal images in the whole story. He gets out of bed wearing only leather pants, no shirt, no shoes, visibly injured, and walks straight into the hospital hallway like none of this is unusual. Staff are suddenly faced with a half-dressed patient in obvious distress heading for the exit, and the whole scene turns into pure chaos. He makes it outside into the December cold, barefoot on the pavement, shaking, looking for a way home. And then comes the strange twist. Sitting nearby are two teenage fans, upset because reports had spread that Nikki Sixx had died. They're grieving someone they believe is gone, only to suddenly see him standing there in front of them, very much alive but in terrible condition. Imagine that. Your music idol is reported dead, then suddenly shows up looking wrecked and asks for a ride home instead of explaining anything. They help him into the car, completely stunned, while he reportedly sits in silence, drained and staring out the window. At the house, there's no emotional reunion or big dramatic moment. He gets out, makes his way inside, and the place is a complete mess. Dark rooms, smoke in the air, trash everywhere, old food left out, chaos in every corner. He heads straight to the bathroom and finds the same stash tied to the overdose from earlier. Most people would want it gone instantly, but addiction can pull people back into destructive patterns. Instead of walking away, the cycle reportedly continues, and he ends up unconscious again, while many still believe he's gone. The next morning, he wakes up, sees the aftermath of the medical emergency, and finds his answering machine flooded with panicked messages asking if the reports are true. In a grim moment, he reportedly records, "Hey, it's Nikki. I'm not home right now because I'm dead," then hangs up. And unbelievably, that still wasn't rock bottom. You'd think a near-fatal overdose and being revived would force a total life reset, rehab, recovery, a complete change in direction. But according to the story, the destructive spiral continued for quite a while after this. That December night wasn't the end. It was just one chapter in a much bigger collapse. Years later, that experience became part of rock history through Kickstart My Heart. Most people hear that song as pure energy, speed, adrenaline, stadium speakers blasting at full volume. But the real story behind it is far darker, tied to a night where survival came down to emergency intervention and sheer timing. And the strange loose ends make the whole story even wilder. The emergency workers who fought to save him reportedly never got the kind of gratitude you'd expect. The people caught in the chaos were left with their own memories of that night, while Nikki eventually returned to music, touring, recording, and building the larger-than-life image fans knew so well. For a brief moment, though, none of that mattered. Not fame, not records, not the legend, just a critically ill man in an ambulance fighting for survival. That's the part underneath all the headlines and mythology. If this story surprised you, drop your thoughts in the comments because I've got a question for you. Do you think surviving a moment like that would completely change your life? Or do some people only change when they're truly ready? That's a conversation worth having. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next wild story. See you in the next video.